Let's meet the candidate.
Thank you, Jeff. Our candidate this morning, a Republican running for U.S. Representative in District 6, is Jesse Young. Good morning, Jesse, and welcome to Daybreak.
Good morning. It's good to be with you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jesse, for coming by this morning. Let's first of all introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, my name is Jesse Young. I'm running for Congress in Washington State's 6th Congressional District, and it's quite a fun experience to be going through. Certainly feel like I can make a difference for the district. By way of introduction, I'm a software engineer by training. I currently consult in Seattle, but I have a long history in the district. I grew up in Tacoma, in the Hilltop area. I think a lot of people are familiar with that demographic, and I grew up homeless and often pretty much impoverished the entire time. My entire senior year in high school was pretty much homeless as well. I had a great mom and a great example. She taught me the value of working hard. She tried to keep us off of welfare and teach us the value of earning what you keep. With that example, I rose up out of that, graduated valedictorian, was a Washington State scholar, and went back east to school at Notre Dame. Was very blessed to have that happen. And as a result, I took that education and went into the software engineering career and have consulted globally and nationally in a number of industries since then, both in Asia, Europe, and throughout the United States, both in healthcare, finance, aerospace engineering. So it's kind of the backdrop I'm bringing into it. I think that's a skill set that we need in Congress today, which would probably answer another question people have, which is why I'm running. I also have 5 kids.
Well, okay.
And
that's important.
I'm very concerned about their future, to be honest. I'm not certain that, I am certain that if you look at my kids now and what I'm able to provide for them, the blessings I've had, they'll never know what it's like to wonder where they're going to lay their head at night. They're never going to know what it's like to know where their next meal is going to come from. But I'm not certain that if I was removed from the pictures and my kids were taken out from underneath my provision and stuck back in Hilltop some 30 plus years later, I'm not sure they'd have the opportunity to rise up out of that the same way that I did. So that's a very motivating thing for me, one of the reasons why I'm running.
Let's talk a little bit about your platform for your position here in the district.
Yeah, well, I believe I bring a unique perspective to this, coming from the business sector and this global experience. I look at this district and I kind of ask, why have none of our candidates ever talked about the uniqueness, the way in which this district, the 6th district in its entirety, is set apart from every other district in a nation. And as a platform, I'd simply say this district is so unique it can and should be the preeminent leader for job growth in a nation. And that's not just a selling point. I mean, if you consider certain aspects of this district, the fact that we're bordered on 3 geographic sides by deep water ports, the only district in the nation that can claim that, or the fact that those ports are the closest to all Pacific Rim trade routes, we're going to have an emerging Pacific Rim trade economy in the 21st century, and we should be positioning ourselves now to take advantage of that commerce to bring those jobs here, those 21st century jobs here. We certainly know we're robust and very rich with natural resources, but that includes more than timber. We have an abundance of oil and natural gas that people don't know about. We also have a unique characteristic that most people are completely unaware of, and that is an abundance of rare earth metals, minerals, gold, copper, silver, manganese, nickel. If you look at these things and you combine those two things, I say, well, wow, there's a plan for the 21st century to bring 21st century jobs here, take advantage of our abundant natural resources, take advantage of our ports, export that, bring foreign dollars here, and go figure. Then if you do that, you don't need a tax and spend policy to create jobs. And I look at that and say, well, there's a vision for the district to leverage these natural resources, to leverage these, and how about leverage these natural resources in a way that honors the land? You know, the traditional R versus D rhetoric says, well, hey, if you're a conservative, you don't care about the environment, you care more about big business. And I say, well, wait a second, if you're a true environmentalist, we should show the rest of the world how to do it in a way that honors our land so that they'll follow suit. Because no one likes to be told what to do, and I'm pretty sure China's not going to listen to us with how to manage their environment just because we're telling them to do so. So why don't we show them? And, of course, the seeds for small business growth are also in the ground here. We don't need a tax and spend policy. I mean, we have abundant labor, capital that's ready to invest if you look at the demographics of the district. And then also we have an amazing amount of infrastructure that nobody really talks about, because I think under the last congressman that we had, who's retiring now, the paradigm was always, well, what kind of pork can you bring back? And there was never this holistic look at the district to say, wow, there is a lot of stuff here that we can leverage to really, in terms of competition, to grow jobs here. And so from that standpoint, if you take that uniqueness and cast that vision, and then you just supply the right experience, the right experience, I would say, is not another lobbyist, lawyer, or career politician, not your typical big money candidate, but someone with a business background that's had to work with real budgets, real deadlines, and say, wow, that kind of perspective can actually come in and know what to cut, know what to deregulate, know what to do to get out of the way to let this jewel of a district that we have really prosper and grow. I think that that's a message that is really resonating. It certainly put some wins in my campaign sales.
Jesse, families have a lot of issues working with them today, and as they're sitting around looking at our voters guide, what is the number one issue that they're talking about with their family and their kids this election year?
Well, it's a unique combination of cutting spending, which is akin to balancing your budget, or to some degree they want to look at that. But if you look at polling, then they're going to say, well, we need jobs too. So there's that aspect of deregulation that I believe is what we need to do to get out of the way to bring those jobs back. But on my material, if you looked at polling, the average candidate would probably say to you, well, jobs is number one, so let's say that. But truthfully, I do believe it comes back down to the budget. And as a candidate, I believe we need to reframe this typical rhetoric that we hear around taxes and revenue and this and that. Look at this like a household budget, because that's an area that you can engage the average voter in a way that they understand, regardless of whether they write their budget down or they just kind of wing it. They still have to keep a monthly budget. And when you start to see a paradigm where you have a lot of political elites stand up with a row of Harvard economists behind them and tell the average voter that it's okay to spend more money than you make and continue to do so, they start to say, that just doesn't seem to fit reality anymore. I understand that you guys know more about macro or micro economics than I do, but that seems to fly in the face of reason. And so I think that has become the number one issue, because everyone's starting to gravitate around that one principle, that you can't spend more money than you make indefinitely, and you have to start balancing your budget. You need to, so in terms of a household budget, if you frame that in a way where you say, let's focus on our top priorities first. If you're in a household budget, you worry about paying for your house, whether you're paying rent or a mortgage. Worry about your car, if you've got one, or putting gas in the car nowadays. You don't prioritize first the movie tickets you want to have money for. And I think that a lot of people are now getting more involved, and they see that really what we're doing at a national level is we're buying our movie tickets before we actually put food on the table. And if you gauge it in terms of a household budget, I think you can really move this conversation forward. So I would say that that's the number one issue.
He is running as a Republican for U.S. Representative in the 6th District. Jesse Young, thank you so much for being a part of Daybreak this morning.
It was very much my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Claire, good job. Very good.
Thank you.